Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my predicted 11 for Manchester United's game against Southampton at Old Trafford. Like I've already mentioned on my recent videos, I'm expecting Erik ten Hag to make some changes in this game. In the last two games, he's named an unchanged side. So I'm going to go with the 4-2-3-1 formation. In goal, David De Gea. David De Gea was in goal in Manchester United's 4-1 win against Real Betis. De Gea recently won Save of the Month for February. De Gea made a fantastic save to deny Iheanacho in Manchester United's 3-0 win against Leicester at Old Trafford. You know, De Gea is Manchester United's #1 goalkeeper. He has made over 500 appearances for the club in all competitions. Right back, I'm going to go with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he'll come in for Diego Dalot. Dalot started in the game against Real Betis, but Dalot came off at half-time and Wan-Bissaka came on to replace him. You know, Dalot is still Manchester United's first choice right back. Bissaka has played a lot of games this season, only because Dalot had a couple of injuries earlier on in the season. Bissaka, I think there's a good chance he'll leave the club in the summer. Manchester United got Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace back in the summer of 2019. Got him in a deal worth 50 million. I think defensively Bissaka is good, but the attacking side of his game is poor. And I think his positioning has to improve. Maybe his crossing needs to improve a bit more as well. The two centre-halves, I'm going to go with Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez. Obviously, it was them two at centre-half against Real Betis. You know, these other options, you know, there's Maguire, but don't see Maguire starting this game. You know, there's Victor Lindelof, who's an option. Lindelof had a knock last week. He missed the game against Liverpool at Anfield. But yeah, I think it will be Varane and Martinez. Left back, I'm going to go with Terrell Malaysia. I think he'll come in for Luke Shaw. Of course, Luke Shaw started against Real Betis. Played pretty well, you know, he did get an assist in the game. Luke Shaw, of course, played in the 7-0 thrashing by Liverpool at Anfield. He was very poor in that game, could have been sent off, and he was at fault for 2 of Liverpool's goals. But apart from that, you know, I've been really impressed with Luke Shaw this season. He is still Manchester United's first choice left back. He's played around 6 or 7 games this season as a centre half, and he's done well in that position, even though he's predominantly a left back. Luke Shaw did come off against Real Betis, and obviously Terrell Malaysia came on to replace him. Manchester United got Malaysia from Feyenoord. The two centre midfielders, I'm going to go with Casemiro and Fred. Obviously, Casemiro and Fred were the two centre midfielders against Real Betis. Sabitzer, I don't think he's an option because he's picked up a knock. You know, he played no part against Real Betis. Eriksen is still out with injury, so he's not an option. Eriksen is out until April or early May. And McTominay, can't see him starting this game, but he may come on as a substitute. McTominay, of course, came on against Real Betis and got the assist for the Weghorst goal. Casemiro, I was actually surprised he started against Real Betis in the first leg, because prior to the game, it said Casemiro could have missed the game because he picked up a slight injury against Liverpool at Anfield, and it said he's one booking away from a European suspension. Don't forget, back in February, Casemiro served a 3-match ban in the league. Casemiro makes a massive difference in Man United's midfield. You know, he's made an impact. You know, Man United got Casemiro from Real Madrid in a deal worth 70 million, with add-ons included. And Fred, I think he's improved in recent weeks. Don't get me wrong, he was very poor in the game at Anfield, but I mean, apart from that, you know, he's done pretty well. I think Fred could stay at Man United this summer. If he is to leave, I think he'll leave next year. But there again, towards the end of last year, it said that Erik ten Hag decided to sell Fred. Fred is still one of Man United's first choice centre midfielders, despite the arrivals of Casemiro and Christian Eriksen. You know, Fred's been at Man United since 2018. So he's been at the club over 4 years now. You know, we got him in a deal worth 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. In the number 10, I'm going to go with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, in the game against Real Betis, scored from a corner. He also provided an assist in that game. You know, he put a very good performance out against Real Betis. You know, Erik ten Hag did mention that he was our best player in that Europa League tie. And Erik ten Hag praised Bruno Fernandes' personality after his superb performance against Real Betis. So Bruno Fernandes silenced his critics. You know, prior to the game against Betis, you know, Erik ten Hag did say that Bruno Fernandes will remain Man United captain, and said Bruno Fernandes is Man United's inspiration. You know, in the 7-0 humiliation by Liverpool last Sunday, you know, Bruno Fernandes received a lot of criticism. You know, it was disgraceful what he did. You know, he nudged the assistant referee. You know, the FA decided to take no action. Bruno Fernandes could have easily been sent off in that game against Liverpool. You know, he did actually have a good-headed chance in that game in the first half, just went wide. You know, Bruno Fernandes looks a far superior player without Ronaldo in the team. Revert back to when Ronaldo was at United, we couldn't get the best out of Bruno Fernandes. On the left wing, I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford. You know, Marcus Rashford, of course, played against Real Betis. He scored Manchester United's opening goal. Rashford could have had more than the one goal. He could have had an hat-trick. You know, the chances he had. You know, Rashford's got 26 goals this season. What a season he is enjoying. This is definitely his best season as a United player. Marcus Rashford recently won Premier League Player of the Month for the 3rd time this season. That indicates how good he's been. But yeah, I think we'll put Rashford on that left-hand side. There's been some games this season where he's actually played up top. He can be very effective up top, and he can be effective out wide. Elanga is an option, but he won't start. Elanga lost his place in the team since Garnacho risen up the ranks and got into the senior squad. On the right wing, I'm going to go with Jadon Sancho. I think he'll come in for Anthony. Not so long ago, Jadon Sancho had a fever. Jadon Sancho, of course, came on in the game against Real Betis. Jadon Sancho, don't forget, scored in the 3-0 win against Leicester from close range. That was a good team goal. And don't forget, Sancho came off the bench and rescued a point for Man United in Man United's 2-2 draw against Leeds at Old Trafford. And that was on his Premier League return after nearly 4 months out. But yes, I think he'll come in for Anthony. Anthony, of course, started against Real Betis, did well. You know, he scored a very good curling shot. Garnacho is an option on the wing, but don't think he'll start. The centre forward, I'm going to go with Wout Weghorst. Weghorst scored his first Old Trafford goal against Real Betis, and it was his second goal in total. Weghorst, you know, could have had a hat-trick against Real Betis. He had good chances. He actually had a goal ruled out as well for offside. Anthony Martial could be available for this game against Southampton. If he is to play a part, he'll come on as a substitute. Ten Hag has provided us with an update on Martial. He said he should be okay to play. Recently, we're back in training, but the game against Real Betis came too soon for him. But yeah, so that's how I think Manchester United will line up against Southampton. You know, Man United are coming into this game on the back of a 4-1 win against Real Betis at Old Trafford in the Europa League round of 16 first leg. Brilliant performance by Man United. Man United are going into the second leg with a massive 4-1 advantage. So Man United are more or less into the last eight of the Europa League. It was good to see Manchester United bounce back from that 7-0 humiliation by Liverpool at Anfield last Sunday. And I knew Manchester United were going to respond. I mentioned that humiliation last week by Liverpool was a setback, and Man United have had quite a few setbacks this season, and you know, we've recovered from them well. I am expecting Manchester United to beat Southampton. You know, Southampton are a very poor team this season. You know, they're 19th, they're in the relegation zone. They could get relegated. There again, Southampton have picked up a bit of form recently. They've won 2 of the last 3. They won their last game against Leicester 1-0, and don't forget they won away at Chelsea 1-0. Manchester United seldom lose to Southampton. You know, the last time Southampton won at Old Trafford was back in January 2016. You know, this fixture between Man United and Southampton last season was 1-1. Couple of years ago, Man United did beat Southampton 9-0 at Old Trafford. That was Man United's biggest win since the 9-0 win against Ipswich back in 1995, was it? Man United did win at St Mary's earlier on this season, 1-0. Bruno Fernandes got the goal in that game. Southampton are on their 3rd manager this season. Southampton's manager is Ruben Selles. He will be the Southampton manager until the end of the season. Ruben Selles has been the Southampton manager for a few months now. Before Southampton, he managed Valencia's under-18s. Before Southampton had Nathan Jones, they sacked him. At one point they had Ralph Hasenhüttl, they sacked him. At one point they had Mark Hughes. And at one point they had Mauricio Pochettino. To be honest with you, Southampton were good under him. Mauricio Pochettino guided Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. He got them like an 8th or 9th place finish. He only enjoyed a short managerial tenure with Southampton. So there you go. And one of the key players Southampton have got is James Ward-Prowse. He's definitely one player Man United have got to watch out for. He controls that midfield well. He's good from set pieces. They got Joe Aribo, who's an attacking player. Adam Armstrong, who they got from Blackburn. Che Adams, Theo Walcott. At one point, Theo Walcott was at Everton. And he's a former Arsenal player. Mohamed El Yunusi, he's a midfielder. Carlos Alcaraz, he's been injured, but I'm hearing that he's going to be available for this game. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Southampton have got him on loan from Arsenal. Mohamed Salisu is a good defender. He's another player I rate. I think he'll play in this game. Valentino Livramento, he's injured at the moment. Romain Parod, James Bree, Jan Bednarik, Stuart Armstrong. The goalkeeper Southampton have got, they've obviously got Wilfredo Caballero, Alex McCarthy, and Gavin Bazunu. So they're a lot of players Southampton have got. Let me put into the equation that they've let a lot of players go as well. You know, they let the likes of Ryan Bertrand go, let Yannick Vestergaard go, lost Luke Shaw to Man United back in 2014, so Man United have done transfer business with Southampton before. You know, Southampton lost the likes of Charlie Austin quite a few years ago, and he was good when he was at Southampton. They lost players like Virgil van Dijk. Was it back in 2018? They lost Dejan Lovren, Adam Lallana, Nathaniel Klein, Sadio Mane, lost Danny Ings. So, you know, they are players Southampton have lost. Obviously, you know the news regarding the Glazers. The Telegraph has said that the Glazers are desperate to sell Man United for $5 billion. Not so long ago, though, it said Man United could be taken off the sales market by the Glazers, with Glazers considering scheme to cash in for the fan base. It was in November last year that the Glazers announced that the club was up for sale. And since then, Man United have had a lot of interest. So Jim Ratcliffe's been interested in buying the club for quite some time. You know, the Qataris have been trying to buy the club now for a while. But Sky Sports recently said they will walk away from a bid for Man United if the price is not right. And the Saudi Arabians have been interested in buying Man United. But I'm hoping the Glazers would have sold the club by the end of this month, very latest by the summer. Because they've been one of the biggest issues at the club for such a long time, like I've mentioned. But On to Erik ten Hag. Like I've said on my recent videos, I'm backing him. He's the right manager for Manchester United. I said this after the 7-0 humiliation by Liverpool. You can see the progress he's made as Man United manager this season. Won us a Carabao Cup, that was his first trophy as Man United manager. And it was Man United's first trophy in 6 years. He's more or less got us to the last 30 of the Europa League. I think United have got a good chance of winning the Europa League. Got us to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup and got us up to 3rd in the league. You know, if you can get another trophy this season, Ten Hag, and get us a top 4 finish, you can say that is a successful season. And as you all know, Ten Hag recently won Premier League Manager of the Month for February. So now guys, 7th update. We've dropped your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless.